Welcome to But Frankly Pierce News. I'm Arthur Fairview. Here's what we're facing. Well, it's holiday time. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am really upset right now because I just found out that tomorrow is Thanksgiving.
Yes, it is. And we all know what that means.
Election results are finally in.
Beg your pardon?
What are you, a turkey? The 2022 midterm election results are finally in.
The election results are finally in. And here are your 5 key takeaways. Takeaway number 1. Inflation was the top issue for voters. Republicans were trusted more on it. And yet independents swung toward Democrats, defying history. What happened? Trump-backed candidates lost up and down the ballot. Now fingers are being pointed at the failed former president from within his own party for losing the Senate and a smaller than expected House majority. He's facing a DOJ special prosecutor. And even as he announced to run for president again, many in the GOP are looking toward the future. Takeaway number 2. Representative Kevin McCarthy, Republican from California, wants to be Speaker. A majority of his conference voted for him to be their leader this week, but he has a lot of work to do to get 218 of his members to vote for him for Speaker come January. And even if he does, because of the narrow House majority he will have, likely only 4 seats at this point, Republicans will have a hard time passing legislation. Takeaway number 3. For Democrats, holding the Senate is important. They will be able to block any legislation coming from the House and show a unified front with President Biden. More practically, they will be able to continue to reshape the federal judiciary. And if a vacancy comes open on the Supreme Court, Biden and the Democrats will be able to fill it. We saw how important being able to appoint justices to the High Court was with the Dobbs decision this year. Takeaway number 4. Drama in the House will likely be a focus in the next 2 years as the 2024 presidential election approaches. But the House GOP will still be able to hold high-profile investigations, including of the president's son, Hunter, and potentially move to impeach members of the Biden administration, though that would go nowhere in the Democratic Senate. And finally, takeaway number 5. With Democrats' losses and relegation to the minority in the House for the next 2 years, longtime House Democratic leader Nancy Pelosi is stepping aside. We believe this will usher in a new era of younger Democratic leaders. Now, getting back to Thanksgiving, we all know what the holiday is about, right?
Of course, we know about the 3 F's.
Food, family, and football.
No, I mean the holiday itself, where it comes from, how it became a holiday.
Well, the Pilgrims had a bountiful harvest, and the Wampanoag tribe joined them in what is considered to be the first Thanksgiving, right?
I thought Thanksgivings were religious days of fasting and giving thanks.
For Puritans, a day of Thanksgiving was a day of fasting while giving thanks to God in prayer.
Well, yes, they are. I mean, you're right. I mean, essentially, that is what we are taught. But there is more to it, and it was political. When did we first start celebrating Thanksgiving?
1621.
No. Although that is historically credited as the first Thanksgiving, it was not an official holiday yet. In fact, the closest we get is in the 18th century.
In 1777, the Continental Congress decreed that all 13 of America's colonies celebrate a national day of Thanksgiving that year in celebration of their victory over the British at Saratoga.
So, it was not the idealized, whitewashed image we learned as children.
But there was a feast of Thanksgiving in 1621. How was it political?
Well, let's back up a bit.
At the start of the 17th century, southern New England was home to a variety of busy communities within several confederations. These were the people of the first light, and they called their home the Dawnland. Political leaders were known as sachems and had been trading with Europeans for over 100 years before the Pilgrims. Relations soured only after deceitful Europeans kidnapped locals to sell as slaves. Permanent European settlement was impossible due to the already high population of native occupants. But in 1616, tradesmen introduced a disease to the Dawnland, whose inhabitants died in droves from a lack of immunity. In 3 years, up to 90% were wiped out in several confederations, including the Wampanoag. Their head sachem, Massasoit, was aware of how close they were to being subjugated by their unafflicted enemy, the Narragansett. He was determined to save his people from such a fate. This was the political world the Pilgrims were about to enter. The Pilgrims were not called Pilgrims by their contemporaries. They were known as Separatists, a branch of the English Puritans. King James hated Puritans and began persecuting them in 1604, so the Separatists fled to Holland, where they were free to worship. But because they feared losing their national and communal identity, the congregation wanted a new place to plant their church. They decided on America and asked King James for a patent that would grant them rights to build a colony. They planned to make a profit catching fish to pay off the debts to their investors. The Mayflower set sail on September 6th. 2 months later, Cape Cod was spotted and 16 men were sent ashore to inspect the area. Unfortunately, the settlers didn't know how to fish and food was running out. They resorted to stealing from graves, homes, and storage pits to keep everyone alive. Then came their first hostile encounter with natives, but no one was killed. On December 12th, they reached New Plymouth. They did not land on any specific rock, but folklore insists they did.
No Plymouth Rock?
Robbing graves?
In a word, yes. But after they landed in Pawtuxet, or what the Puritan separatists called New Plymouth, a man named Samoset arrived and spoke English to them.
Wait, Samoset?
I thought it was Squanto.
Samoset brought Tisquantum, or Squanto. He was the translator for Massasoit, the tribe's leader, or sachem.
The settlers were eager to trade, so 5 days later, Samoset returned with furs and companions, including Tisquantum. Known famously as Squanto, he had come to tell them in perfect English that Massasoit had arrived. After years of dealing with Englishmen, the sachem did not trust the newcomers. Edward Winslow was sent to be a hostage and declared the settlers' peaceful intentions. Satisfied, Massasoit walked into New Plymouth and was regally greeted by the governor. A peace treaty was created, ensuring mutual protection if attacked by enemies. With the help of Squanto, New Plymouth settlers began to fare better. He taught them how to grow crops and was absolutely vital as an interpreter.
Squanto helped the settlers to grow crops and fish to survive. It was in the fall of that year.
By fall, the settlers had a bountiful harvest and a feast was held to celebrate. Massasoit showed up with 90 warriors and 5 deer for the meal. For 3 days, the English and Wampanoag ate and entertained one another. This was the famous first Thanksgiving children learn about in school.
And there it is.
The first Thanksgiving.
Technically, yes, but not a national holiday.
Well, duh. For one thing, we weren't a nation yet.
So when did it become a national holiday?
By the mid-19th century, many states celebrated the holiday. However, the date could vary by weeks or even months. A determined magazine editor named Sarah Josepha Hale set about establishing a national Thanksgiving Day. She passionately believed that such a day would help unite a nation headed towards civil war. Hale began a one-woman letter-writing campaign, urging politicians to establish an annual day of Thanksgiving. Her efforts were finally rewarded by Abraham Lincoln, who saw the unifying potential of the holiday. In 1863, 4 months after the victory at Gettysburg, he declared the last Thursday of November to be Thanksgiving Day.
But it was on December 4th of 1941 that Thanksgiving found its permanent home as the 4th Thursday in November instead of the last.
Interesting.
What else have you got that's newsworthy?
A federal judge in Florida partially blocked a law championed by Governor Ron DeSantis designed to limit the discussion of racism and privilege in schools and workplace training.
Isn't that the Woke Act?
Legislation previously called the Stop WOKE Act, the acronym standing for Wrongs to Our Kids and Employees, is now known as the Individual Freedom Act. DeSantis signed the bill into law this spring. It initially took effect in July, but now in a 139-page order issued Thursday, Tallahassee U.S. District Judge Mark Walker excoriated the Republican-led bill and blocked it from taking effect in the state's public universities.
Well, that's a good thing.
In his order, Judge Walker, an Obama appointee, opened by reciting the first sentence of 1984, George Orwell's novel about life under futuristic totalitarian government. It was a bright, cold day in April, and the clocks were striking 13. And the powers in charge of Florida's public university system have declared the state has unfettered authority to muzzle its professors in the name of freedom, the judge wrote. This is positively dystopian.
He's not wrong.
Thursday's ruling is the second legal setback for the law. An August ruling, also by Walker, blocked another part of the bill that targeted workplace diversity practices. The law faces another challenge by K-12 teachers. DeSantis' office is expected to appeal the decision.
Of course he is. But enough about that, Turkey. What about the Thanksgiving tradition of saying what we are thankful for?
I am thankful for the autumn leaves, for robins, Sunday paper, and the flowers that bloom. I am thankful for the Atlantic Ocean, because without it, a lot of Portuguese would be walking into our country. I am thankful that there is no such thing as a rectal barometer. I am thankful that I don't look anything like my passport photo, because if I did, I would look like this. I am thankful that Jonas Salk decided not to, I am thankful that Jonas Salk decided to take up medicine and not become a member of the Temptations. I am thankful for all the people of past civilizations who contributed to our culture. I think they did a great job, don't you? Don't you think so? I think they did too. I am thankful that my sex organs are in my pants and not on display at the Museum of Modern Art. I am thankful for laughter, except when milk comes out of my nose. I am thankful that I was given the means to help people whenever they are in need. Now all I need is the desire. I am thankful that small children don't burst into flames when you say the number 4.
You know what I'm thankful for?
Oh, do tell.
Yes, what are you thankful for?
Sitting at the table with loved ones and enjoying that big holiday meal.
Classic.
One of my faves.
Yes, of course. Pop culture has always had their own unique spin on the holiday.
Hey, do you guys think the Pilgrims brought a bottle of Pinot Grigio to the first Thanksgiving?
I'll tell you what the Pilgrims did bring. Smallpox. Killed scores of Native Americans, ravaging their population. And that was before we got around to shattering their spirit.
Those can't be skydivers. I can't tell just yet what they are, but... Oh, my God, they're turkeys! Oh, Johnny, can you get this? Oh, they're crashing to the earth right in front of our eyes! One just went through the windshield of a parked car! Johnny, this is terrible. The cars running around, pushing each other? Oh, my goodness! Oh, the humanity! People are running about. The turkeys are hitting the ground like sacks of wet cement. See, folks, I don't know how much longer the crowd is running for their lives. Children are searching for their mothers, and, oh, not since the Hindenburg tragedy has there been anything like this. I don't know how much longer I can hold my position here, Johnny. The crowd...
Les, are you there? Les isn't there. Thanks for that on-the-spot report, Les. For those of you who just tuned in, the Pinedale Shopping Mall has just been bombed with live turkey. Film at 11.
Thanksgiving is a special night. Jimmy Walker used to say dynamite. That's right.
As God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly.
Also, like us all to remember Grandma. I'm sure she's looking down on us and smiling.
I hope it's the version of her before she was in the grips of dementia. Otherwise, she'd just be confused.
This is a candied yam.
Speaking of food, on Monday, President Biden pardoned 2 turkeys. Although they did nothing wrong, the president could not help himself by beginning with a clever jab at the opposition.
First of all, the votes are in. They've been counted and verified. There's no ballot stuffing. There's no foul play. The only red wave this season is going to be a German Shepherd commander who knocks over the cranberry sauce on our table.
The president could not help himself with a slicing remark at a tender subject.
I hereby pardon chocolate and chip. Which one's chocolate? Who's chip?
This is chocolate.
This chocolate, you're pardoned, and so are you, Chip. Chip says, I know, and I don't even have to be told.
The 2 turkeys, named Chocolate and Chip, came from a grower in North Carolina.
Right. The presidential pardoning of the turkey.
When did that start?
That is a confusing topic. The Turkey Federation has been giving turkeys to presidents since 1947. But these turkeys were originally meant to be eaten, not pardoned. The first Thanksgiving turkey on record to receive a reprieve was in 1963 when President John F. Kennedy received a 40-pound turkey with a sign around its neck that read, "Good eating, Mr. President."
How'd that work out for him?
The official presidential pardoning of the turkey started with President George H.W. Bush in 1989.
You are the turkey I have chosen to pardon. Fly free, turkey. Oh, fudgesicles.
And now a question to ponder. Remember watching a Charlie Brown Thanksgiving?
Of course.
Remember what was prepared for the guests?
What's this? A piece of toast? A pretzel stick? Popcorn? What blockhead cooked all this? What kind of a Thanksgiving dinner is this? Where's the turkey, Chuck? Don't you know anything about Thanksgiving dinners? Where's the mashed potatoes? Where's the cranberry sauce? Where's the pumpkin pie?
Yes, where is the pumpkin pie? Well, we here at But Frankly Pierce News wish to pose a question about this.
What are you doing?
Don't go there.
The story does include spoilers, so if you have not seen a Charlie Brown Thanksgiving...
Art, it has been aired every year since 1973.
Even the spoilers have long since spoiled.
If I may continue. After Marcy convinced Peppermint Patty to apologize, Charlie Brown delivered some good news that Peppermint Patty shared with the gang.
We're all invited to Charlie Brown's grandmother's for Thanksgiving dinner.
Where are you going with this?
You are seriously making this a story?
Snoopy was holding out.
What?
Look at the video after the gang left. You see that? Somehow, Snoopy whipped up a turkey dinner for himself in Woodstock.
I see that.
Is anyone else weirded out that Woodstock is exhibiting cannibalistic tendencies?
Please pass the pie. It has been 686 days since the January 6th attack on the Capitol and our democracy, and failed former President Trump has still not been indicted or charged with anything. Despite that fact, all of us here at But Frankly Pierce News wish you a happy and healthy Thanksgiving. This has been But Frankly Pierce News. Thanks for watching. I'm Arthur Fairview. You can get anything you want
At Alice's restaurant.
Accepting Alice.
You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. Walk right in, it's round the back. Just a half a mile from the railroad track. You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant.
At Alice's restaurant.
Thank you.